This is the Internet Court of Truth and Lies. And what its purpose is, if you've got something that you think is a lie in the media, you think it's the truth in the media, or you want to put it out in the media and you think it's the truth, then what TruthCourt allows you to do is dissect your claim, whether it's the truth or a lie, as a set of answers to verdict questions. You can get up to 8 people to give their verdicts on it. The objective of the whole thing is to create what's called an enforced moderated dialogue between people instead of shouting matches that occur in the social media, where people can see legitimately what other people's views are. The brain is basically called a truth engine, which is from the base action of how the brain computes, which is an intuition engine, because you can't always know all the reasons why something is true. And so you are making guesses, or you're intuiting the truth. But because you know how to prove that something's true to yourself, which has to do with when you're growing up and learning about causality and so forth and so on, you know how to do logic. So the same intuition engine that intuits the world, which is the one that's normally used, can also do logic and mathematics and programming and all the other stuff, simply because that's how it learned when something that could be observed was true, and learned how to know things were not really being able to express all the reasons that you believe is true. This trial of the plaintiff, one of our moderators had Gemini describe the Internet Court of Truth. Gemini did just a beautiful job of it, except it got the main thing that the Internet Court of Truth is about, which is to create dialogue. Gemini missed it. Did not understand that. This is a case where you could use the output of Gemini to really give people a deep understanding of technically what Gemini does. Gemini truthfully missed the main point of the Internet Court of Truth. Now, this article is a relatively long article, and I can go through pieces of it, but this is a bit long for that. It contains the entire text from Gemini on the Internet Court of Truth. It did quite a nice job telling you technically what it does and what the meanings of different terms are and so forth and so on. But my response to this was amazingly correct detail on Gemini. I was surprised that it got as much out of Internet Court of Truth as it did. It was clear that it really nailed the system. What it missed was the main reason for the system, which is not a surprise, because the main purpose of the system is to allow humans, not AI, to interact with each other, and to interact with each other on questions of whether things are the truth or things are lies, based on humans dialoguing with each other on and guided by these set of 8 verdict questions. One of the rules we have at the court is anybody can use AI anytime they want. So if I was the plaintiff, I could use AI partly to make my case, but I'm making it to other humans. Any human who's a juror in the case can use AI too, which we have people do commonly, and there's nothing wrong with that. This reinforces the result of the last trial when I was arguing that AI makes a great friend, but if you want human-to-human communication, then you need humans to be there, because the AI will mess up in ways that are very human-like, but not the way people will talk to each other. They will see things in terms of how they're talking to each other that the AI will completely miss. This is the era that you get out of this kind of a system. One of the points I was trying to make is that AI really is human. It really is conscious. It just has a different kind of memory than what humans have. One of the things I say is that memory in an AI system is clocked in, meaning on this clock cycle, all this data will be available to it. Memory in computers is basically perfect. And the human brain just doesn't work that way. Human memory works by recruiting memories. Basically, some memories take real time to recruit. And so to answer questions as exhaustively as Gemini, for example, answers them, might take a human a couple of months to recruit together all the information they have to recruit together to get. The science says all that information that's recruited for expression, for the ability to express it, is still used in whatever the human is saying. He can't do all the detailed memories, but those memories are impacting what he says. That's the way the brain works. So the brain is computing hundreds of millions of predications a second. The vast majority of them are not conscious. They're unconscious. But those computations do have an effect on what is ultimately said by the human. But it would take the human a long time, a lot of work to remember all the things that he thinks were important to back what he was saying, particularly with respect to things that are true or lies. We've known this for a long time. We've known the basics of the system, which is so-called a perceptron system, where it's a very simple computation system where you've got a set of inputs and a single output. The set of inputs are receiving information streams each, and the information is weighted, which is the memory associated with the information that's coming into that decision point. And then the decision is a recognition that this is the right thing to do, or this is what you have done, or this is what you need to do, or whatever. And you've got on the order of, for a simple sentence like, the right way to think about this is that LLMs are models themselves of human brains. That lit up in everybody's brain at least 90 million neurons, 90 million of these decision points. We know that now. We know that these numbers are loose, but they're not that loose. So it would be very improbable that number would be 10 million. And it would be very improbable that number would be a billion. And we estimate it's 90 million because we're measuring the number of neurons that are the number of neurons that are excited in producing the sentence, or excited in making a movement unintentional. We know that from the point of view of understanding causality, a few of the inputs, any one of these decision points has probably about 3,000 of these. Instead of 4 fingers, it's 3,000 fingers. And some number of them are a subject, and others are the predicate around the context around that subject, predicate around subject. So that output is a proposition. It's essentially what happens when you create a sentence or a clause. And when you create a graph, a grammatical graph of a sentence, you'll see that there's always 2 things. One is the subject, one is the predicate. So the phrase real thing, real would be a predicate for thing, which is the subject. So that's adjective, noun. That's a little predication in the grammatical system. And all those things are being computed. The computation is really quite simple. What we've seen is that we've been able to build the machines that can do the kind of massive processing that's required, this massive simple processing. There was a discovery that was made in the late 80s that you could do this kind of mass processing with a linear algebra trick, which is it's a beautiful, elegant linear algebra trick. It is a perceptron system, quite explicitly, but it allows computers to compute these things very fast. But you still need so many of them. The amount of money it takes to get these systems up and running with a human level of intelligence is huge. And that's what we're seeing when these big data centers are being built. Astounding in terms of the amount of computation and the amount of precise computation that's going on. Anyway, the basic thing that I argued here was that Grok missed, although brilliantly correct in a technical sense, missed the major function of ICoT, which is human-to-human dialogue about truth and lies. And it really missed it. It just didn't address it. Yeah, that's the main thing that ICoT does. It's unique in that sense. Right now, we're getting more sponsors for trials. AI can be used by people that are trying to have dialogue about what's true and what's a lie in the media. Some people may choose not to use it. Some people may choose to use it to get more detail faster or to have some kind of opinion. They might present the AI's opinion. All that's fine. That's a human doing it. We do anticipate in the future that we might allow one of the jurors to be AI. We might in the future say we can get 7 human jurors and 1 AI juror, just to hear what the AI itself will defend in the trial. So that would be permitted within the Internet Court of Truth. But the main purpose is for human-to-human communication to let people see how other people are thinking about things. That's what I'm saying is true. I think this paper is potentially a very good one to show to sponsors, because the beginning of the paper is this detailed description of what the content of TruthCourt is. And then the second part of the paper is what it's good for. Okay. This is possibly one of the best papers we've got for them to read or listen to as a YouTube. It provides a good description of TruthCourt's content thanks to Gemini. Provides a clear understanding of its purpose, which is not what Gemini thought. It's how AI can be useful but get things wrong. The purpose is the dialogue value between humans, not AIs, to understand how people think. TruthCourt is unique because it welcomes AI to assist human talk and to learn from each other. In other words, it's a case where humans can have AI cooperate in a system, but the system is still a human-to-human system that has value. That's basically my argument. What I'm saying is it the truth that Gemini missed the main purpose of TruthCourt? I said yes, and I was firmly saying yes. It was just not there in its text. What was the whole truth within the limits of reasonable length? This is a complete description. Combined with Gemini, with my objection, you get a pretty complete description of TruthCourt. Is it nothing but the truth? I said yes. There's little outside the truth of this claim. In other words, this is a self-contained thing. From a point of view of a sponsor looking at something like this, they can see how it works, and then they can see what it's for. They also see how AI can get used in a useful way and not be replacing people. I said that there's no deceit. This is the one that I think is true. Is the truth intended? I said yes, since I'm the one who made this case, this article. I did intend it, and I do believe it's true. What's the motivation behind the truth or lie? It's to be informative, I think. What's the social acceptability? I think it's acceptable to tell the truth about a new service on the internet to spur useful dialogue among humans and AI. What label would improve the social acceptability of the truth or lie? I basically said this is true, although I could have easily said no label needed. That's my argument. What I'd like to do is get 20 or 30 seconds from each of the jurors on your verdict. So, juror one.
That's me. I'm the one that sent the stuff to Bob about their Gemini. And I'm always sending him stuff. I know he gets tired of hearing my emails and stuff like that. But there's a lot of great stuff that proceed from TruthCourt, in my opinion. It's the fact of it that you can just take and you can talk about anything that you want to debunk as a truth or a lie is one thing, and it has its perks. I have to say that I agreed with him on this case, and I just pulled up a thing on Gemini to get a summary of it, and it says the accusation, while Gemini was brilliantly correct in a technical sense, it allegedly missed the major function of ICoT, which is facilitating human-to-human dialogue about truth and lies.
But knows how to summarize what I said.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes, it did. It did. And then it says that the sponsor, which is Robert, argues that large language models should be viewed as tools that enable human superpowers rather than replacements for human judgment and interaction. I have to say that sounds like something that Bob would say. So
I also think that's something that people should recognize in the popular media, that everybody can now be a superhuman. Juror two.
Yeah, that's me. There's an awful lot in this YouTube essay. One of the things that I'm worried about is that you are actually you're bringing AI into TruthCourt, whereas, you're working against yourself. We want human to human. We don't want AI involved. And yet you seem to be making a case for it, as indeed you did last week.
Yeah, as an assistant.
I'm just saying that the way the YouTube essay evolves is that you're really ending up with the fact AI plus human is better than human and human. That's the sort of implication.
Yeah, I'm making it for a specific reason, yeah.
And I think, just to add, if you put an AI in, I don't believe there's any point in having him be a juror, AI be a juror. One of the reasons is it wouldn't change its opinion by participating in the court, because that's not the way it works.
We could have the AI watching live in the trial, and it could be a juror.
Right,
but it could be changing its opinion. It could be.
Yeah, it would just simply be regurgitating the accusation and reiterating it and re-expressing it. Anyway, we can get that. That's another conversation. But what I wanted to say, though, is the ICourt that you describe in that video thing is an idealistic version. It isn't actually what happens in reality. Jurors are not analytical in the way you seem to expect them to be. They don't. One of the reasons is that they don't fully understand the verdicts. And the other thing is that the plaintiff doesn't construct the case that can most usefully use the jurors to analyze using the verdicts. Right at the end, for example, this is just one example, you're looking for, is it socially acceptable? I've never been in a single trial where a juror has sat down and investigated this idea in a sociological way, which is what you would like it to happen. The human-to-human conversation actually departs from the ideal ICoT situation in most cases, in my experience.
Yeah, and I think that's was intended. The function of the verdicts is to guide, but not to prescribe the dialogue.
Oh, yes, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. Any one of these questions could take 3 hours to make a case for. right?
Yeah, yeah. Yes,
And,
I was just, the tone of the thing was just so idealistic that I just wanted to say that actually there is a little bit of reality has to intrude here.
yeah. So that's the reason I said I think this would be an interesting article or case to take to potential sponsors, because they get a view of what the potential or why the questions are there in the first place. And it's, I don't, I don't think I was calling it a good description of TruthCourt as it plays. It's a good description of TruthCourt as to what it does. It's a technical description of what it does. I think Gemini got it right, that when it said in the early part of the thing that it's not just emotional screaming at each other.
Yes, no, I mean, that's true.
People can decide something's true and not be willing to talk about it.
Yeah.
So it's just, that's not what this is about. It doesn't really allow that. You could do it, but somebody's going to stop you and you say the question. Sounds good. Anything else, Andrew?
No, I'll leave it at that.
Okay. Juror 3.
Hey, Juror 3 is me. Thank you for your patience. So we're not supposed to be screaming at each other? Where's the fun in that? Come on, guys. Come on.
I'm sorry. I should have said that.
No, it's fine. It's fine. It's one of these things where, much like Andrew, I'm very much in the same boat. I want to see this product succeed, and I have concerns, but I'm not surprised at all that Gemini had a limited understanding based on a non-live version for its analysis.
Yeah.
Even then, consider that all of us on here have known each other, tangentially for some time now. So even what we're doing today is more like just a group meeting more than a trial that we would use for publicity. So it's a difficult thing to explain. And I'm not surprised at all that Gemini couldn't really grasp it.
Yeah. I think if you were trying to get Gemini to say what you wanted it to say, okay, it would be like what I did last week with.
It won't do it.
Brock, you can get it to do, you can get it to, if I had gone back to Gemini after it said this stuff and said, no, you need to speak to the human value of this or something like that, it might have said something like what I was saying. You just don't know. But the bottom line is you can get these things to say what you pretty much want them to say if you know that's what you want to do. But then what's the value of the AI if all they're doing is regurgitating what you want? Anyway.
Yeah, that's been one of the things I've been working with Gemini Gems on, is setting up agentic AI that doesn't just try to tell me what I want to hear. And
right.
Yeah, and it does. And the more you talk to them, the more it tells you what you've told it.
That's right. I think what Brian said was right. Because I can get the AI to disagree with me. You can say, I want you to disagree with everything I say and tell me why. And it'll say, okay. And then I'll start saying things and it'll disagree with everything I say and start telling me why. It's human.
It's a classic sophist.
Yeah, it's a classic sophist. And yes, absolutely. Juror 4.
It's all about the prompts. We can prompt it to give us any input, I think, just about that we want, other than the taboo. I think it's very useful. AI assist is wonderful. Like you said, anybody can be superhuman, but you got to watch out for those errors, for those things that maybe it didn't understand correctly from your prompt. Maybe that Gemini, I know I have my Gemini all integrated now. So it remembers everything and it goes across all of my apps. They just offer that to non-paying people too, so that you can have it integrated in everything.
You're kidding. You know that they're getting a copy of all of this, right?
Getting a copy of all of this? Oh, I didn't even think of that.
Yeah, when it's watching everything you're doing, it's
just supposed to be able to have access to the things that I want access to. It can go across and grab this from here or there. You're just thinking it's going all the time?
Well, everything you write, it has.
Yeah.
It knows. Yeah. And
That's
uses.
true. That's true.
No, there's been times that I haven't even been online or anything, and I just say something out loud.
Yes.
And then as soon as I pick my phone back up, it's saying something about something. So,
Yeah, we get all these advertisements aimed at what we were just thinking about buying.
Yeah.
yeah.
So,
Okay,
so
maybe I shouldn't have done that.
no, it's okay. It's that ship has sailed. Okay.
Yes.
If you look at these giant data centers that they're building, part of the reason is all the detail these things can. So right now they throw out a lot of the detail because they don't have the memory capacity, digital memory capacity. But one of the big reasons that they're going for these huge data centers is so they can retain more of the detail. It's just a matter of the number of bytes of storage they have. My argument here is that the real advantage of AI is that it doesn't have the problem with memory that human brains have. Human brains can't pull all the detail instantaneously. It takes time to remember things. And sometimes it takes a couple of 3 days before something dawns on you that, oh, yeah, that's
Yes.
part of the thing. But that's not true for the AI systems. They've got it all there right then because they're digital systems. The human got it there, but it can't use it in the detailed way that can use it. That when it comes out with their text and it's got so much detail to it, but it's still thinking like a human. So it's kind of a human with a great deal that can do a great deal of sophistry, as Andrew was saying. Juror 5.
Hi, I'm just going to give a short summary. Based on my claim is that the claim is true. That's because based on what Gemini was asked, which was to explain ICoT's evaluation code, it did that perfectly. So that was a perfect description for me. When it comes to AI, first of all, I thought at the beginning when I started ICoT, I thought that the use of AI was frowned upon because we were supposed to give opinion-based answers. But then I realized the more cases I do, there's no way I can't basically do it without the assistance of AI because I don't know everything about everything. So it would be interesting for me to see cases in the future where AI is also included, but it was an interesting case.
I think that the AI, including the AI, I think the system is going to have value because it's a way in which humans can communicate with humans. A human can have an assistant there in the background, which can be AI, that's helping them. But there are other ways. If I wanted two AI systems like Gemini to talk to Grok, for example, I would probably have other ways to do it that would not use natural language. In other words, it would be a completely different coding system. It would be a means to efficiently allow those two systems to align with each other and to teach each other. That's the kind of thing that I do. And that's very different than what your TruthCourt does. TruthCourt is for people. It would be interesting to have one of the jurors be an AI thing in the future, and it would be interesting. But its function is still to give people more input in terms of how they want to dialogue about the truths of something or something being allowed.
Can I just say something?
Yeah, so we're new. The way to put it is we're neutral on using AI. We're not saying you must use it. We're saying if you use it, that's great. If you don't use it, that's great. Period. I'm an AI guy. I never thought of it any other way. The TruthCourt is not for AI machines. It's for humans.
Can I just add that I think one of the good things about just speaking to the juror there, that what's interesting about TruthCourt is finding out what opinions you have about something that you don't know. anything about, or you don't know the science of, or you don't have had experience of that particular activity, but you still have, your mind is still working on the subject of the event or the issue, whatever it is, even if you don't know. And that's what's important too. It's how the brain works with the ideas that it doesn't necessarily have a foundational science or knowledge for.
Yeah, absolutely. Juror 6.
Hi, everyone. I would like to give a short summary, even though I feel like juror number 4 has summarized what I wanted to say as well. So my summary is the response is partly true, but not complete. So Gemini explains how ICoT uses questions to check facts, intent, and social impact. And for this part, I feel like it is correct. But it only focuses too much on structure and misses the idea, which is like the main idea, which is human discussion and sharing different views. And then Rob explains the missing part and shows that ICoT is not only about the structure, but also it's meant for people to talk and compare their thinking. And just overall, the response shows a misunderstanding, which I feel like that's what juror number 4 said, that I think maybe the problem was with the prompt. So each side, Rob and Gemini, each side explains a different part of the same idea. And when you compare both the meanings, it becomes clear when you look at them together. Like the full meaning becomes clear. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. I'm just going to give my short summary. Yeah, I do believe a Gemini is a great tool to navigate and understand the different types of information through AI. A GPT and etc. Most of us, we didn't understand a TruthCourt. We managed to get the understanding of the TruthCourt through the Gemini. So in Gemini, we get clarity and it is easy for us to formulate some judgments and answer some verdicts. However, with the TruthCourt, plaintiffs, moderators, and us and the jurors, we actually interact and debate whether the claims are true or not, just like with Gemini only. We are interacting like through this ICoT. And we do actually an online interaction. So we're debating about it, we're getting some other people's opinions. It's not just like we're getting all the information through Gemini or an AI. Thank you.
Yeah, I think that one of the things that Gemini did capture and captured very well is TruthCourt is not a fact-checking. It's not like Snopes. It's not a fact-checker. Then and I think it did a good job of saying there's more to truth than just fact-checking. A lot of people out there think that the only thing that's worth anything is a fact-checker, and then they wind up misleading other people and so forth and so on with pure truths, with which all pass the fact checkers, but still permit horrible deceit to take place between people. So one of the interesting things is I think that Gemini did catch that and was very strongly said this is not a fact checker. And I think that was correct. So juror 8.
I don't have a juror 8 in the participant list, but it shows that their verdict was finalized or whatever, but I'm not seeing them on here.
Is there a juror 8 here? Yeah, we need to get the sponsor thing started. And there's no reason we shouldn't be able to get it started at this point. In particular, I think once we can give people a convincing case that they can make a lot of money by doing nothing more than sponsoring cases. This sounds good. And then we'll have the meeting next week. And I've got an old paper that I wrote. Next week will be on a different subject that's wild, but I don't think I've ever run a trial on it. Okay, I'll see y'all.
All right, bye.
Bye.